towards the front of the grid. I think she was actually 4th row of the grid for her heats, which is where she starts now. But the first 2 races, she got into troubles early on in both races and went backwards. But in her final heat, she was able to get a decent result. So the pace is there. If she can have a little bit less bad luck, she surely could be one to challenge here, because we know that of those drivers towards the front, she's one of the quicker drivers. So watch for Eva Benes in kart 240, another of the French drivers on the Cosmic chassis. PKS, the team that run her. On row 5, Antoine Lepesque, another one to keep an eye on here. And we've already seen somebody winning a second chance heat from the 5th row of the grid. So why not Antoine? And Antoine in kart 284 starts in the inside of that row. French driver on the Sodi kart, run by the Winmax team. And completing the top 10 then is kart 296, Jeremy Lesoudier. And he's another French driver, run by DSS on the FA kart. Then quickly down the rest of the grid. On row 6, we've got Nicolas Picot and Jack Safre. Row 7, Petra Fulan and Santeri Kallio. Row 8, Petra Betzel, Jessica Batman. Row 9, Lucas Bartotsuk and Max Remberg. Row 10, Christian Thorson and Sten Dorian Perimagi. Row 11, Alfredo Zabalza and Sam Smelt. Row 12, Alessandro Trombelli and Jussa Pikalainen. Row 13, Mark Lupfer and Randy Berglas. Row 14, Mark Ferenc, who might well come through from there. And Eber Grandam, not having a great deal of luck either this weekend. Row 15, Tobias Home and Enrique Baptista. Row 16, Carlos Pinto and Quentin Guerra. And then row 17, the last row of the grid, will be Fazio Fransen and Frederick Op de Beek. So that completes the 34 drivers. 34 of them all trying to squeeze into the top 6. The pole position man, Ludwig Morin from Sweden, is leading them round onto their second warm-up lap now. And so in less than a minute's time, we're going to have the start of this race. Ken, it's going to be another exciting one and a great way to round out these second chance heats with some quick seniors in this one. Hard to call, I think, who's going to make it through.
Yeah, Fazio Fransen wouldn't be one we would expect to make it through, because he starts on this he's scheduled to start on the 17th row, on the back row of the grid. But I'm learning that he's a non-starter anyway, so Fazio Fransen not a starter. Would be nice to get at least one of the ladies through, wouldn't it? Eva Benes starts on row 4, the French lady. Jessica Backman, the first of 2 Swedish girls, she's on row 8. And the second of the Swedish girls is Ebba Grandin, she's on row 14. It's a long way to the top 6 from row 14. It's a fairly long way from row 8. But Jessica has done this before in the second chance heat. And Eva is in with a shout. Okay, it's Sweden on the front row in the shape of Ludwig Morin and Netherlands in the shape of Joel Affolter off pole. Shane Daly, United Kingdom, joins fellow Englishman Ollie Norris on row 2. Well, I always say this, it's an interesting situation, isn't it? Do you race hard at the front, or do you find yourself in the top 6 and think, I'll just hold station and qualify? I asked the rhetorical question, and the answer, I think, is you can't tell racers not to race. Although we did see some fairly circumspect driving from a comfortable top 6 position in in one of the previous races, a couple of races ago. Let's see what the seniors do. Ludwig Morin, very experienced at this level, and so is his fellow front row starter, Joel Affolter. Oh, a really good equal start there, but the poleman's missed the jump, and Joel Affolter, coming across from the outside of the front row, has got a much better start, and I think that was Tadasiko Makino who saw losing places, shipping them fast. Shane Daly has started well. Joey Van Splunteren slightly less so, and just at Marshall Point 2, we've got a couple of carts locked on top of each other. Well, having said that, they're lifted off, but...
Eva Benes is one of them.
Oh.
Eva Benes, and the other is Nicolas Picot.
Thanks for the call, Chris. The 2 French drivers, Nicolas Picot, Le Français, Eva Benes, La Française. It's gone wrong for them. They're out of the race.
And Jeremy Lesoudier is the other one, also French.
The message is, don't be a Frenchman in this. We've got a change of lead at the front. Let me look at the screen. Is that move being executed? Well, it was, but I think that will... Yeah, it has. Cart number 283 is Joey Van Splunteren. Hadn't seen him edge his way to the front. I did see him make a good start, and whilst I'm neutral in my race calling, I am pleased to see the former champion finding something like his true form. He leads Joel Affolter with Shane Daly in third place. Kenny Marquez, a Frenchman who is going well, fourth. Ludwig Morin, after that very disappointing start from pole, is fifth. And another Frenchman who is going okay, Antoine Lepeceur, in the sixth and final place at the moment.
Already lots of jostling going on for third, fourth and fifth positions. A bit of a advantage for Van Splinteren. He leads by half a second or so. And Van Splinteren made a terrific start from the third row of the grid. He just flung it at the inside, was really late on the brakes into turn one, and he exited turn one in second place. So he gained 4 positions on that first lap. And then, of course, he got the move towards the end of the lap to take up the lead of the race. Coming towards the 11th and final turn then, Van Splinteren leads the way. Shane Daly, number 278, is there in second place. And then it's Kenny Marquez who picked up third place at the start of this lap. Those three have broken clear now. And so a big gap back to Lepesque, who's in fourth place. Makino is fifth and Betzel is sixth. But there's 2 seconds between third and fourth now. So big old gap.
And Chris, do we know where Joel Affolter fell from second to seventh? Was it in just one fell swoop? Because the Dutchman now is out of the qualifying positions, or at least he was when they crossed the start line to begin lap 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 is well out of the top 6, isn't it? Because we've got 2 groups of 3, and Joel Affolter, the Dutchman who started on the front row, has got himself well and truly out of a qualifying position. It's a 10-lap race. We're moving into the second quarter. There's time to put things right. Let's concentrate on the race, as I'm being prompted to at the front, because cart number 278 is Shane Daly, who's shown a good turn of pace earlier this weekend, twice having come from way down the field. Oh, and a little bit of balking there. Ludwig Morin getting in front of Joey Van Splinteren, and Joey Van Splinteren saying, look, are you going to drive or am I going to have to push you out the way? No, I never said that. I didn't say that. Tadashiko Makino of Japan up into fourth place. So the Japanese driver showing some form. That's the leader of that second group of 3. He's pursued by Peter Betzel. Peter Betzel, in fact, putting pressure on Makino, and Antoine Lepeceur just getting detached a little from the second of the 2 groups of 3. But the Frenchman in 6th place, in front of Ollie Norris by a margin of about 10 kart lengths, has got a little cushion.
Yeah, Van Splinteren dropping from first to third on the previous lap, but he's settled down a bit now. He has dropped a length or 2 to the top 2, though. So it's Daly from Moran from Van Splinteren, first, second and third. Then the next 3 running through camera, as you can see there, 4th, 5th and 6th. Makino, Betzel and Lepesque into the pits with a problem. Comes 291. Joel Affolter from second on the grid.
There's the answer.
Yeah, it was clearly some kind of mechanical issue, which has slowed him down. Another one to retire is 282 coming into the pits as well, Mark Ferenc. So a lot of people dropping out of this race for one reason or another. We've got first, second and third together, 4th, 5th and 6th together, and then a reasonable gap of a second or so back to 7th position, and the driver in 7th place as it stands is Ollie Norris, and he's now got to get his head down and just go like the wind to catch up to 6th place. He finished 7th and he's out for the day. If he can get into the top 6, he will progress to the back of the grid for the pre-final.
And a move from 6th to 5th attempted and has happened, because that is Antoine Lepeceur stepping up a place at the expense of Peter Betzel. And as that happens, Chris, your point, because Oliver Norris, stick to your task, because whereas it was well detached from that second run of 3, he's now a lot closer. But the real beneficiaries there, the guys in front, and Daly, Morin and Van Splinteren 1, 2 and 3, well clear of the rest of the field. They're safe, except for the fact that they're racing pretty hard against each other. We're on lap 6. We're moving to the second half of this 10-lap senior second chance heat.
And a bit of nudging and bumping and boring going on in this second group of karts now as they run through shot. You're about to see them 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th now together, because at the back of that group, the black suit, white helmet and red kart, that's Ollie Norris. He's put in a couple of good laps. Still got just under half of the race to go as well.
Change. There is the change.
Getting in the mix. He's going to go on the outside, and then on the inside he's got 2 places. So Ollie Norris carving his way through. And the driver in kart 254 started the lap in 7th place. He's now very quickly got up to 5th position. And looking very quick as well. He's got a lot of good pace at the moment. His next target is going to be to get to 4th place ahead of Antoine Lepeceur.
And he goes there.
Does it down the inside. Best form of defence is to attack, isn't it, for Norris? He doesn't just want to get in the top 6. He wants to get to the head of that group and get away from them. and be a solid fourth, I would think. But the pace that he's got, look, he's already pulled a couple of kart lengths clear. You'll see them coming into the next shots shortly up at turn 6 at the end of the back straight. So there go the top 3. No change. Daly, Moran and Van Splinteren. And there's the new 4th place kart with the red side pods there. The British driver, Ollie Norris, with a really fine few laps now. He just needs to keep doing what he's doing and not relax too much just because he's made it through to 4th place. So now we've got 5th and 6th together and a bit of a gap back to 7th and 8th. So there you can see 7th and 8th, the 2 karts to go through that shot. There's the race control building where we are there in the red building, and then just underneath this you can see this final corner of these karts running through towards the end of lap 7. 3 laps to go, Ken.
Well, Tadasiko Makino is in 7th place. I was saying he's got 1 more place to pick. He hasn't. He's now got 2 more places to pick if he's going to qualify, because that was Jack Safri that you saw in shot, just going from 8th to 7th. Jack Safri in kart number 235 has got 2.5 laps remaining. Kart number 238. 2.5 laps remaining for the Formula K driver to get past the guy in front, but he's got about 4 kart lengths to find before the passing move would be executed. In fact, it's more than 4. And Chris is pointing to something.
Yeah, because Van Splinteren has just gone into 2nd place through at the hairpin. Moran had already got the lead at the end of the previous lap. So Moran and Van Splinteren have now got ahead of Daly. Daly with the bright yellow and orange helmet there, down to 3rd place now. It's an oddity, these second chance heats, in that almost the battle for the lead isn't as important as the battle for 6th place. So a lot going on there, but the overtaking manoeuvres have been clean, and you'd expect that from somebody like Van Splinteren. So he's back up to 2nd place now, and our race leader just edging away now, Ludovic Moran. So it's Moran, Van Splinteren and Daly. Norris is clear now in 4th place. Betzel in kart 214 is in 5th. Lepesque is in 6th place. His lap times are being matched at the moment by Safri and Makino in 7th and 8th, but they're not closing the gap, which is still about 3/4 of a second.
Well, it's been a good drive by Jack Safri, and he's got himself to within 1 qualifying place, but are the laps running out too quickly? 1.25 laps remaining. There's a driving standards flag. I've not seen a number there. I think it was 226 I saw on screen moments ago. If that was so, it was to Jessica Backman. Would have to say it wouldn't be the first time Jessica had collected a driving standards flag, but I'm now seeing 244. So that driving standard flag is to the Mexican Alfredo Zabalza, who is well down the field, unfortunately for him. Final lap, and the battle between Antoine Lepeceur 6th and Jack Safri 7th is the one that exercises our attention. The front-running 3 look to be safe. 4th is Ollie Norris, relatively safe. Peter Betzel 5th, and then we've got Antoine Lepeceur in kart 284 6th. Is time running out for an attack from 7th to 6th? Probably so, unless something dramatic happens.
Ollie Norris flying, isn't he? Fastest lap of the race. Absolutely flying. 4th place and almost with the top 3 now, but he doesn't need to get through. Safri there in 7th place, 1 corner left. The driver in the green suit to close a gap, but it looks almost impossible now. The checkered flag comes out. Moran wins. Van Splinteren 2nd. Daly 3rd. Norris flying. Fastest lap in 4th place. Caught them all up. Betzel 5th. Lepesque 6th. And Safri just missing out. He did close the gap on that last lap by 0.3 of a second, but he misses out by just under 0.3 of a second. So number 238, the unlucky 7th place, Jack Safri, the British driver, just missing out on qualifying.
Chris, talking of unlucky, how low tech is this? Joel Affolter from the front row went out with a flat tyre.
That's a real shame. 1 or 2, I suppose, running wide, maybe bringing a bit of gravel back onto the circuit, and that's very, very unlucky though. So a good drive that by all of the top 3 actually, because they kept it sensible once they worked together to build up a bit of a lead advantage, and they did. They all led at one point, but never did it look like they were going to start battering each other around. And Ollie Norris will be pleased with the amount of pace he had in that race. Best lap of 55.108 seconds on lap 5. And on the last lap, for example, he was half a second or more quicker than the top 3. He just flew up to them. So good drive that from Ollie, and pleased for him to have made it through. He only had to battle that hard because he had a poor first lap and dropped back. But of course he did start the race from the 2nd row of the grid. So Moran, Van Splinteren, Daly, Norris, Betzel and Lepesque are the 6 drivers subject to all the post-race scrutineering checks that will go through now to join the back of the grid for the pre-final.
Well, just a little internal announcement once more, if you'll forgive us, guys. There is a member of our RGMMC team who's unwell back home in Sweden. That's Ingrid Wagner. I'm not sure if she was tuned in when we first gave her a call, but we do believe she is definitely so now. And Ingrid, we're sorry that you've been unwell. We can't wait for you to get back here and back amongst us. We miss your smile, Ingrid. Get well soon.
So there'll be a short break from the track action now. And then we get into the real meat and bones of this weekend, because we're about to head towards the championship point scoring races. First of all will be the pre-finals. DD2 will go first, then juniors, then seniors. 13 laps for the senior classes, a 9-lap pre-final for the juniors. And then we'll have finals coming up. And Tiff, I think, is with Joey Van Splinteren down at the end of the race, one of the qualifiers there who made it into the top 6. Tiff, over to you.
Okay, so I'm with Joey again, a bit happier than when I last spoke to you.
Yeah, now I'm in the final and yeah, it's better.
Okay, so obviously you're in the lead for a bit, and then the top 3, you're quite close. Did you start to think about the final already? So you didn't want to ruin your tyres, you didn't want to fight too much?
Yeah, in the beginning I was just thinking drive away and stay behind the guys, and yeah, then the other guy was making mistakes, and yeah, I must overtake him because he was too slow. But just stay relaxed.
And how much of a disadvantage do you think you are now? Obviously you had to use your new tyres, you didn't really have much choice. When you think about the final now, do you think you're at much disadvantage?
It's a bit difficult, but this is my other chassis was bent, and yeah, we must work on the chassis, but we'll be okay.
Okay, so you're going to put up a good fight.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tiff. Well done. Good to hear again from Joe Van Splinteren there, who made it into the top 3. Right, there's a timetable on screen for you if you're watching live online at RGMMC TV. That's what we've got coming up for the rest of the day. So we've completed now the second chance heats. We move shortly into the pre-finals here at the Rotax Euro Challenge. So, as I said, a 13-lap race it will be for DD2. The drivers who qualified in the top 34 automatically made it through, plus the 6 that made it through from the back of the grid, onto the back of the grid rather, from the second chance heats. So, DD2 pre-final at 11:20. A 9-lap race for juniors will be at 11:40, and a 13-lap pre-final for the seniors will be at midday at 1200 hours local time here in Belgium. Then we'll have a break from track action for an hour or so, and then we move this afternoon into the finals. It will be DD2 to have their final first at 13:30 local time, Central European time. The juniors, a slightly shorter race of 12 laps, that will be at 1400 hours, and then just off screen there at the front of the screen at 14:30 for the senior final. So 14:30 for the senior final. The 34 drivers, all now we know who they are. 28 we already knew. Now we've got the last 6 joining them, having had those second chance heats. So that's the timetable for the rest of the day. 6 races to go, and they're all very, very important races. 11:20. So in just under 15 minutes time is when we're going to have the first of those finals, and it will be, as I said, for DD2. The point that Tiff has been making with the interviews with these second chance heat drivers, the likes of Patrick Pearce and Joe Van Splinteren that we heard from just a couple of minutes ago about tyres, is the fact that they can't just keep putting new sets of tyres on every time in these karts. There is a limit. They are limited to a couple of sets of slick tyres on race day. And so the plan, the ideal plan, if you don't need to use them, is to try and keep a set back, a brand new set back for the final if you can, certainly to keep a brand new set back for the pre-final. But for example, what Patrick Pearce was saying was that because he just had to get through, had to make sure he could get through into the point scoring races, then he's had to use up his tyres. So he's not going to go into the final, for example, with a brand new set of tyres, which it could well put him at a disadvantage. So he's had to run an extra race, run some more laps on the tyres to get through, and the same with Joey. And I'm pretty sure that's why Paddy didn't drive off into the distance in that earlier race, because he was trying to preserve his tyres as much as he could. And likewise, you saw the top 3 there, Moran, Van Splinteren and Daly also, I think, trying to manage their tyres. So in about 10 minutes' time, we'll have the build-up to our next race, the pre-final. You can see one or two of the karts and drivers just starting to arrive at the grid now. But we'll take a short break from the commentary, and Tiffany Chittenden down in the pit lane, Ken Walker and myself, Chris Hartley, will be back online at about 11:15 in a few minutes' time, really, for the build-up to our first pre-final here at Genk in Belgium for round 1 of the 2013 Rotax Euro Challenge.